When we go to study living things, we first need to understand what is a living thing. So, a living thing, what is a living thing? A living thing can grow and develop. And how do living things grow and develop? Well, they increase in size and or number of cells. For example, human beings, complex organisms such as human beings, go from a baby to an adult. And you can see the significant difference between a little baby and a full-grown adult. Obviously, the adult is a lot bigger, brains are fully developed, and so are their limbs. Cells also increase in size, and they do this by dividing. So cells increase in number by dividing. Okay, so the second criteria is a living organism can carry on a self-regulated metabolism. Regulated metabolism. And I'm using red here because I'm going to define the word metabolism, and metabolism will be one of the vocabulary words for you to know. Okay, so metabolism. And what is metabolism? It is all chemical activities, all chemical activities that takes place inside the organism. The organism that is essential to nutrition, growth and repair, and conversion of energy. So that is essential to nutrition, growth and repair, and conversion of energy. Because metabolism is a continuous process, we need something to help balance it. And so what we have is homeostasis. Homeostasis balances the internal environment so that it doesn't go haywire. It's kind of like a check and balance. So a good example of a homeostatic mechanism is the concentration of glucose in the blood. And glucose is a simple sugar. We'll learn more about glucose later when we talk about photosynthesis and cell respiration. So here on the y-axis we have the concentration of glucose, and these two brackets mean that's concentration. And the x-axis we have time. And we're going to label this 6 a.m., 12 p.m., and 6 p.m. And we're going to distinguish the normal levels here using the dotted line. So we wake up in the morning and we are hungry, so we decide to go downstairs to the kitchen and we make something to eat. What we have is scrambled eggs, hash browns, maybe sausage, and a glass of orange juice. And so at this point, the concentration of glucose falls above normal levels. So remember, the dotted line is the normal levels, and so the concentration of glucose falls above normal levels. So what happens here is it gets stored in the liver and the muscle cells. And so as we continue the day, we keep it in balance because the stored nutrients in the liver and the muscle cells get converted back to glucose. And when the glucose is depleted, it falls below normal levels, and so we restore the nutrients by eating again. So for lunch, we'll have 2 slices of pizza, 2 cookies, a glass of water, or whatever, So once again, the concentration of glucose falls above normal levels. So here's the normal levels, and it falls above that, and the nutrients get stored in the liver and the muscle cells, and it gets converted back to glucose all throughout the day, and this cycle continues on a daily basis. So this is just an example of a homeostatic mechanism, such as the regulation of glucose in the blood. Okay, so the third criteria is organisms can respond, living things can respond to stimuli. Stimuli, once again, that's in red, that's another vocabulary word. A stimuli is physical and chemical changes in the internal and external environment, internal and external environment, that makes living things react. Living things, react. So what sort of things do organisms need to do in order to react? Stimuli usually requires movement. At a cellular level, we see that cells move by using cilia and flagella. Cilia and flagella. Cilia, this is the cell. Cilia are tiny hair-like extensions that help cells move, and flagella will draw sperm cells. This is a flagella, so that's that's a longer structure than a cilia, and that also helps cells move. And these tiny hair-like extensions here are the cilia. Not all organisms require movement, therefore they are called sessile organisms, and these organisms are usually rooted to the ground. A good example of sessile organisms are trees and plants. So these do not move, but they're still living organisms. So what types of stimuli do organisms respond to? Types of stimuli.